And there we go. And just share my screen with you all. Can we see that screen? Are we good? I'm just gonna bear with me. There we go. Great. And for those who are just entering, we are just sharing gratitude and would love to see that in the chat box. That would be great. I am just trying to find how to see the chat box while I'm sharing my screen. Give me 1 second. There it is. The chat box and share my screen. Okay. Sorry, slight. There we go. I've got it all. Now I can see all of you and see my chat box. So yeah, anyone who has just joined, a very warm welcome to you. Welcome Shruti, welcome Birol, and we're just sharing what we are grateful for in the chat box. So welcome everyone to webinar 9, our penultimate webinar of the series. Okay. To begin, I would like to set today's context with a quote. The quality of your life and health is directly correlated to the quality of your most intimate relationships. Okay. We are doing 747, I hope, mostly. We are trying to optimize our sleep. We are hopefully introducing some meditation. And that's all great. All of these wonderful things we are doing. But there may be some tension somewhere in your relationships. It could be with spouses, children, colleagues at your workplace, siblings. And they just might be these small little bits of tension that maybe aren't always loving. Some judgments of others, maybe building a wall around yourself, trying to protect yourself. All of those things actually affect your well-being. And there's just something about taking a minute to let that sink in. And it's actually quite uncomfortable for most people. They will avoid it. They think it's fine. I don't need to work on those external factors, those other people. That's nothing to do with me. That's all them. I'm working on me. I'm going to the gym. I'm eating healthily. But here's the thing, right? With the FITBANKER program, we have 6 pillars for a reason. And optimal well-being is down to a collection of these pillars. So mastering all 6 of them is what will lead to that optimal lifestyle. So that is the initial thought to set the context for today's webinar. So what I would like to do now is to have somebody to read our objectives. That has not read them at all over the last 8 webinars. And bearing in mind, you've got today and next week left. Coaches, maybe you could nominate someone that you think would really benefit from reading these today. Can I have any digital hands up? Or if you don't see any from any participants, I would love for a coach to nominate someone. Coach Amir, who are you nominating?
Priya Shah. She loves me the most in my group, so that's why I throw you under the bus, Priya.
Thank you so much,
Challenge
Coach Amir, for nominating Priya. And Priya, you know what? He just gave you such a wonderful opportunity. Please.
I know. I've been a bit heads down. Anyway, let me get on with it. FITBANKER, the life transforming series. Welcome to life. Objective. At the end of this challenge, I will be someone who, 1, has altered my own relationship to food, exercise, and myself. 2, understands the real role of my body, mind, and intellect. 3, knows that my environment, community, and conversations dictate the consistency and quality of my health habits. 4, inspires and empowers my community to take on their health too, through my social media in-person sharing to show up as a health leader and a go-to person. The more I normalize and share what I value, my healthy lifestyle, in person or on social media, the more the world around me is inspired and empowered to start living a healthy lifestyle. Everything is transformable.
I love it. You know what, Priya? For someone who said they've been keeping their head down a bit, I think that was so powerfully created. So thank you so much for being so brave to do that. And
You're
I'd love
welcome.
to ask you, what do you hear from these objectives, or what has shifted for you in any one of these in the last 8 weeks?
I think as we've gone over time, various various bits, various numbers have showed up. But where I sit today is number one, altered my own relationship to food, exercise, and myself. It's almost coming back a full circle, and as I shared with my coach and during our coaching call, I've been pretty la-di-da, in terms of how I approached this particular challenge. And really, over the last week or so, I do want to take it on myself to, really set that relationship. It's my relationship to myself, the food I eat and the exercise I do, no matter the external noise, of which there is so much going on. But it is really that number one, that it's my relationship, and take ownership for that. So
I
back to
love
basics, if you call it that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I love that. I love that you want to take ownership. I love that you want to go back to basics because it is that, right? Like no one else, no other noise. It is your full ownership of it, your intentionality around it. And it really is that simple. So I absolutely love that share. Thank you so much, Priya, for saying that. And I'm sure there'll be others on here that relate to that too, right? So that's a really beautiful share. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so let's look at our objectives for today. We are going to look at understanding the connection between health and relationships, connecting with your most important relationship for optimal health, and how to optimize the internal state using ECH, which we will come on to later, but our environment, community, and habits. Coach Shinal, I've just noticed that you nominated Kalpana to read the objectives. So how about next week, Kalpana? That will be you to do that then. Does that sound good? Can we remember that? Okay, great. All right. I've got a little exercise for everybody right now. We're going to be talking about one of the pillars today, and we want to do a quick recap. I am going to request for you to try to remember what are the 6 pillars. Let's see who remembers. And I would love for you to share them in the chat box. But before you do, rather than like write one and press send and write one, can you please write all 6 that you can remember, as many as you can remember, and just hit and send them all together in one go. So I would love for everyone to participate in this and see if you can remember. Let's see what's coming through in the chat box. Are we still typing? It looks like we're still typing. Who can remember? And if you can't remember all 6, just type in as much as you can remember or guess, give it a go. Just give you 30 seconds to do that. Okay, nutrition, exercise, sleep, hormones, mind, body connection, and today. I love it. And today, exercise, sleep, nutrition, relationships, environment, community. Interesting. Physical activity, nutrition, sleep, mind, body connections. Oh, who was that one? Let me see. Who was that? Coach Chanel. Healthy relationships, sleep, mindfulness. I love it. All of that is so important. Sleep, stress, water, nutrition. You know what? All of those things are important. I love it. Is anyone still typing? Let's go. But if there was going to be an award today, oh, let's see, nutrition, exercise, sleep, hormones, mind, body connection, social connection, and purpose. Today's award has to go to Coach Chanel. And I'm not biased because you're my coach on this program. It's a very objective selection based on the data. All right. Let us refresh our minds. Well done, everybody, for taking part in that. Let's refresh on what these all are. Okay. So yes, physical activity, nutrition, sleep, mind-body connection, social connection, and then aligning with purpose and our authentic nature. And, you know, we really got to cover most of these, the 5 of these in 90 Day Purpose, authentic, and our authentic nature. A little bit we look at in this program, but really that is, we delve into that one in the coaching body. Okay. So building on that, here are the 4 muscles that we get to build on. And we talked about these 4 way back in webinar 2, looking at physical, mental, emotional, spiritual leadership and purpose. And actually around a third of the webinars you've had so far focused on, you know, specific exercises, the muscle building, the physical, the nutrition. And webinar 5 looked at your mind-body connection. And so that was really a lot about the mental and emotional. And today we're going to build a lot more on the emotional and on the spiritual side as well. So that's where we are in your journey. So what we're going to look at today is sociogenomics. Okay, what is sociogenomics? It is the field of research that studies why and how, sorry, not there yet, different factors, different social factors. I'm so sorry, guys, you are covering my words. Okay, different social factors and processes, e.g. stress, conflict, isolation, attachment, affect the activity of the genome. And I hear you ask, what is the genome? Okay. The genome is the universe inside which genes exist. It's the entire set of DNA instructions found in a cell. And in humans, the genome consists of 23 pairs of chromosomes. You might have heard that before, located in the cell's nucleus. A genome contains all the information needed for an individual to develop and function. You might have even heard people, when we talk about genes, genomes, you might have heard people say, oh, they've got the slim gene. I've got the fat gene. I can't do anything. I was born with a fat gene. And actually, Ronnie very openly talks about this when he talks about his journey, and he compares himself to Ambika, who could eat anything with a very high metabolism. And he said, well, I've just got the fat gene. I can't change anything. And I think he's living proof. If you look at him now, clearly you can. Okay, so let's unpack this all a little bit. Human beings, neural, hormonal, and genetic makeup support interdependence over independence, i.e. that sort of existence, an interdependent existence over an independent one. What does that even mean? And you know what's interesting right now? It's almost like there's an increasingly plagued culture happening in most Western nations where independence is championed and isolation is championed. It's like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're so independent. Wow, you don't need anyone, right? Like that's kind of a thing. And it makes you think like, yeah, I'm strong. I'm great. I don't need anyone. But no part of our ancestral existence as humanity was actually ever designed to be interdependent or live in nuclear families. It's like within our body, we have trillions of cells in every cell type. We have heart cells and lung cells and skin cells, but they all work together to do what this body is designed to do and for the organs to do what they're designed to do. And it's like that even in society. In order for us to be optimal at a community level, interdependence actually has us thrive. But not just as a community level, a global level, even at a family level, our most intimate networks, our interdependent networks, is where you can discover your purpose, and know your best bet at thriving is doing it collectively with others. And that's when your biology and your well-being is at its optimum. Human beings as a social species derive strength from collective assembly, shared trust, love, and the collective ability to plan, communicate, and work together. And I don't know if any of you have heard this story. It's actually often attributed to Brené Brown, and it was about these women in a village who used to gather daily to wash clothes at a river. Anyone familiar with that story? This gathering provided a space for social interaction, shared experiences, mutual support. And guess what? When washing machines became common, the women were able to do laundry at home, but their communal gatherings ceased, leading to feelings of isolation and loneliness. And there was an increased rate of depression. And they were not as a direct result of the machines themselves. Of course, a washing machine does not cause depression. However, the unintended consequence of those washing machines was those women lost social interaction and community. I mean, this example, it actually even illustrates how technology, while potentially efficient, can disrupt some of social structures and negatively affect mental health, if not carefully considered in context of human connection. Of course, it also has its benefits in connecting people too. We wouldn't be here today on this Zoom call without technology, but that was just a different example. Most chronic diseases, therefore, are not just a problem of the biology, but social disease. And this is all part of the study and research of sociogenomics. This is actually not a popular notion across the world. It's been there historically in Eastern sciences and philosophy. But now, even Western practitioners are recognizing that illness goes beyond just what they can see. And actually, doctors, when they're trying to treat a disease, they've become even more effective. So, for example, if a patient came in with a knee issue, previously they might just, okay, look at that knee, send you to a knee specialist. But now they're starting to ask, what's your everyday life like? How are you mentally? Because they want to assess other social factors and dynamics that could be impacting that. And it's not actually taught in traditional and conventional medical practices. But here we are. Most chronic diseases are very often a social disease and not just a problem for the biology. It's not one or the other. They're a big contribution. Okay. And here's the other part, a really important part that we're focusing on today. Your social networks influence your health and disease by altering your gene expression. So we're really thinking about how do your social networks influence your health? And when you really pause to look at that, and if you think about that right now, you could either be really concerned at some of the choices you're making and some of your social networks, or you could be really happy about some of the choices you're making. If any of you have heard sort of Ronnie's story about his lifestyle and who he was surrounded by when he had his health scare and the type of life he was living, and he was a banker and they were going out drinking and staying up till 3, 4 in the morning. And then he had his health scare that ultimately led to him starting FITBANKER and transforming thousands of lives. But like, that is how much impact it has, you know? I remember thinking, when I was a couple of years ago, actually, I was with like a group of mums and I was trying to make friends with these new mums because my daughter had joined a new school and everybody went out drinking and I didn't drink that much. And then I thought, and they were all drinking, and I thought, well, if I don't drink, they're going to just really think I'm boring. But when you get to a stage where people pleasing and fitting in with this crowd starts to be less and less important, and we're going to talk about that. So the point we want to make here is the blueprint of diseases that show up in your body is so significantly contributed by our social networks. And often we don't want to acknowledge that because it's just too uncomfortable. If you remember in webinar one, after webinar one of your assignments was, hey guys, go look in the contents of your fridge. That's kind of easy to do, right? But if someone said to you, now look at who you surround yourself with, that's much harder. It's much harder to say, oh, do you know what? I'm going to do that assignment. I'm going to have breakfast for dinner and dinner for breakfast. I'm going to empty out my fridge. That is easier than going out with your friends and saying, you know what? I'm not eating carbs. I'm not having that drink. You know what? I'm going to leave this party because actually I'm really committed to going to bed and I'm really committed to waking up early. This actually happened to me quite recently. A couple of weeks ago, I went to a concert, like a beautiful classical music type concert. And there was somebody there, and I said, oh, let's catch the train together. And they said, well, I'm happy to catch the train home with you if you leave right now. I need to leave right now because I've got to get back. And I was like, okay, I'm going to get this train with you. And we got on the train, and I said to this friend, I said, why are you in such a rush to catch the train right now? What's so important? And I thought he was going to say, I've got to get back for a meeting or I've got to get back for something. And he said, well, I've got to go back and go to sleep on time because I wake up and I work out every morning. And I was like, wow. And funnily enough, he did FITBANKER a few years ago, and he said those are the habits that we've kept up. And that is how important. But I think that is quite hard for most of us to be able to do. So we talked about the reason why that's so hard to do is because we want to belong. And how did we get to that place where we wanted to belong? It's like people pleasing, right? We want to have people pleasing. Where did that come from? So let's take a little walk through history because it's quite a desperate feeling for many of us. We might not realize it. It might be a subconscious thing. If you think about it, and I think even back to when I was a bit younger, where everyone raised each other's kids, where if you were a kid on the bus and a kid misbehaved, somebody would say something, right? Like the village raised the children truly, and everyone said something. Now everyone's a bit too scared to. A lot of people, and again, of course, I'm generalizing, lived in large joint families. I certainly know from my experience, I remember as a childhood, we just spent the whole summer with my cousins and we all just piled into one house. And it didn't matter if there was room or no room, we just slept on the floor. None of that mattered. And now everyone's so busy doing their own things. It doesn't seem to happen as much. And the more we move away from spiritual roots, when I talk about spiritual, I want to be really clear. I don't mean religion. It is the more we become more individualized, we show up in social spaces very much like me versus you. So it's this fear of not fitting in. And that's what I mean by me versus you. And where does that fear paralyze you in your daily life? I don't know about you, but if you think back to a memory I have is when I was growing up and I was bullied for racism, or I was bullied because I was teacher's pet and I was very good and I would do whatever the teacher said. And all I wanted to do was fit in. I never forget when I had my first job after university, my first job, and I think it was day 3, and my boss went out for a meeting all day. So he left this other guy. I still remember his name, Tony. Tony was in charge. And Tony said to us new joiners, let's go out for lunch. And I thought, okay, that's really nice. We'll go out for lunch. And I felt so included. And we went out for lunch, but there was no food. There was only alcohol. And I certainly could not hold my alcohol. And I was 21. I had no life experience. I did not feel comfortable to say, hey, I need to eat something. I can't just drink at lunchtime. I'm 21 years old. I'm not a big drinker. I did not have the guts to say it because I wanted to fit in. I was so desperate to be accepted. Didn't say anything. By the way, that would never, ever happen now. I would demand my food. So what happens? We lose our unique essence. And we're all going to be at different stages of this. Some of us who've done some self-development, some of us who are different. So I'm not saying this is 100% the case for everyone, but I want to bring awareness to it. there is a pressure to be loyal to others at the cost of being loyal to yourself, hence losing your own unique essence, right? I talked about my experience of being on a mum's night and like my experience of thinking, oh, but I don't want them to think I'm boring. And now that's changed so much. And I'd love to say a lot of that is actually due to doing healthy relationships where I'm so confident in myself, where I can actually say, you know what, I'm not drinking, but I'm happy, I'm going to have a great time anyway. And it's so interesting because by saying that, other people then have the confidence to say that too. Oh, actually, I'm not going to either. It's really interesting. But so much of our independence is, we're saying we're independent, and yet so much is about fitting in. So the price of doing all of this is self-sabotage, right? Because if we don't sleep on time, if we drink, or if we eat the wrong things, if we, even where we talk about prioritizing our goals, like if our priority is exercise, health, sleep, all of this, and then we get so tempted because we want to fit in, we want to go on that night out and have a late night, and then we're going to compromise our workout, our early night, our whatever we're doing for ourselves. So the price we're paying is self-sabotage, and we are compromising well-being emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually. It's like a bit of a spiritual disconnect. So it is a compromised well-being, being in this state. And so then we think about, why isn't our body composition where it needs to be? Why do I have emotional eating? Why do I keep working so late? How many webinars have you missed because of work deadlines or something else where other needs, business work needs, are coming before your own needs? So when there is a displacement of self, it is often to do with your social networks. And what you need to think about is, are those social networks pulling for your greatness? Or are they all living in their own sense of fear of not fitting in? And so therefore, everyone is collectively keeping each other trapped in a space of surviving rather than thriving, right? I gave that example of like when I said, actually, I'm not going to drink, 3 or 4 other people said, oh, I'm not either, because they were trapped in wanting to feel that they were fitting in too, and they didn't have the confidence to say it. So what we're going to do now is a little exercise. So what I'm going to do is ask you to grab a pen and paper. And for anybody not on camera, I'm going to ask you if it is safe to do so, and if you're able to do so, to either switch on your cameras or at least be fully present for this exercise. I'd love for you to be fully present. All right. And I'll just give you a minute to get a pen and paper. And this is really so you can explore your responses. And what we're going to talk about is, what does fitting in look like in your world? And I'm going to ask you a few questions for you to write the answers to. So the first question is, I want you to list 5 names. So on your paper, in a minute, you're going to list 5 names that you spend most of your time. They could be within your family, work, business, vacation, social engagements. They can be across all different networks. And for encorers who maybe have done this exercise before, where you were previously and where you are now might be different. So I still invite you to redo this exercise, because your networks might have changed. Who you spend the most time with might have changed a little bit. So just try and do it newly in case it's different. Okay. The next question is to think about, how do you show up differently in each of those realms? I know I used to be a very different Puja in front of my uncles. They did not really care about having a conversation with me, think that I had an opinion, and so I was very quiet, serving them food, That's what it used to be. Not anymore. Of course, I'll help and we'll all help. But I was a very different Puja in my family and to my uncles. And at the same time, I was deputy head of a school. There were days where I could be running a school and be a really strong leader, and yet in my family show up as this quiet person who didn't have much to say. If you think about if you've ever seen maybe your own kids or ever experienced, children often will throw tantrums in front of their own parents, but they won't do that at school. And you'll go for parents' evening and the teacher will say, "Oh, your child is amazing." And you're thinking, "Are you sure they're talking about my child? My child did that?" When I used to be a teacher, and I used to tell parents things like that, they certainly said that, to the point where the parents would say, "Can you speak to my child?" Because they'll listen to you, but they won't listen to me because they behave so differently with me versus at home. And according to psychologists, of course, it's because children feel the safest with their parents. And so then they'll throw their tantrums in front of their parents. They feel safe enough to throw those tantrums. How do you show up differently? So that's what you need to think about and write and reflect there. The next question is, where do you try hard to belong, knowingly or unknowingly? It's so funny. Something that I've become observant to myself recently is something so silly about what I wear. Like if I'm going to meet a certain group of friends, I know they're all going to be wearing dresses and be really dressed up. So I should go and be really dressed up. Oh, but if I meet that group of friends, I know they're all going to be really casual. So I should be casual. So it's not my identity. I'm trying to fit in into each of those different groups of friends and how they are. So thinking about that, thinking about how do you experience self-sabotage as a result of number 3? E.g., and I talked a little bit about this before, I touched on it. If you're too tired, but you don't want to say that you're going to sleep because you don't want to be the party pooper, drinking when you don't want to, putting yourself last, always putting yourself last. And again, that can often happen in work because you feel like you're prioritizing work and you need to get the work done. I know many parents that say this, many mums that say this. Their self-care comes last because everyone else comes first. So where do you fill your own cup so you can look after everyone else? Putting that oxygen mask on yourself before everyone else. But it often doesn't happen. And it's that guilt, right? I can't look after myself because I've got to look after everyone else. Often we're not even aware of all of this. And often, actually, a lot of coaching models can help you come through this. And you get to distinguish it because your coaches can ask you these sorts of questions and pick up on it. So it's really interesting. So what I would like to do now is invite one or two of you to share your examples of what you've observed and where you're showing up differently, where you're trying hard to fit in. Don't need to share about the names of the people, really looking for answers to questions 2, 3, and 4. And I just want to remind you that these webinars are a really, really safe, confidential space. And the more you observe about yourself and all of these psychological ways of being and patterns, that's how you get to create shifts, because you can only create a shift if you're aware of something and if you've observed something. That's how you can create the shift, because it's the way you relate to yourself and awareness of how your social connections are impacting your well-being, then you get to transform it. So I can see I've got Dr. Mandeep's hand up. I would love to hear from you what you're hearing from yourself and what you're discovering from this exercise. What I might just do is stop the screen share for a minute because I would love to see you guys properly. Okay, so let's have Mandeep.
Okay, I hope that you can hear me.
I can hear you.
All right, I'm on the underground. I don't know how long this will last, but I'm trying my best. And also feel free to coach me on this because I'm not sure. I mean, I can answer your question, but I'm not sure. I think I'm going to need a little coaching. So one place that I guess I've tried to fit in since I was young is with my cousins. And pretty much, I don't really care to fit in anywhere. Like it just doesn't bother me whether I fit in or not. And I guess I'm pretty fine everywhere. And the only place I'm not quite fine is with my cousins, where I actually care whether I fit in. So it's interesting. So one cousin, about 5 years ago, she's not a cousin, she's a family friend, decided she wasn't going to talk to me. And it was really interesting because I said to her, wow, we've been relating to one another for our whole lives. Sorry, it's super loud. I'm going to pause for a second.
Is a train coming?
Yeah, the train's here. I'm going to pause.
We can still hear you. I can still
Okay,
hear
great.
you.
Right. So I said, it's amazing. We've been relating to each other for our whole lives. And now you decide, you want to like cut relations. And she's like, no, our families will still be relating. I'll still come to your stuff. You'll still come to mine, but I just don't want to talk to you. So I was like, huh. And she's like, I don't know why it's so odd. My dad or my mum doesn't talk to her own brother. This kind of happens. It's normal. And she said, and also I don't talk to my husband's sister or something. She just gave me all these examples. So my husband doesn't talk to his brother or whatever. And I was just like, that's just not the way my life works. And then another cousin recently, because
Oh, we're losing you. We've lost you. All right. I don't know if you can hear me, Dr. Mandeep. If you come back, we'll pick up on that again. In the meantime, I can see Moshka has got his hand up. So do you want to do that? And who is Dr. Mandeep's coach? Do we have her coach here? We'll just make sure we follow up on that on the group afterwards, because I'd love for her to finish that conversation. Moshka, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So do you wanna the screen is no longer up, so
Would you like me to pop it back up for you?
yes, please.
Of course. There we go. So looking really at 2, 3, and 4, how do you show up differently? Where do you try hard to belong? And how do you experience self-sabotage as a result?
Well, I met up with my little sister, younger sister, the other day. And like I was present to, like, I judge her a lot.
Yeah.
And with everything, food, what they eat, the size of their bodies, the rash on their skin, whatever, like, just like being really judgmental. And I went to see her to clean it up, and we had this really amazing conversation. And she said, bro, I don't share with you because you're not in my life every day. I like to share with people who are around. I see you every 6 months, every 3 months, every 2 months, but you just pop in for a cup of tea to see the kids, and then that's it. I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. I got it. Let's meet up tomorrow night. Let's meet up tomorrow night. We met up. And then we decided to meet up the next day. And she goes to me at lunchtime, bro, have a beer with me. Like, it's 12:30, right? And normally that would be like, most people would I'm like, nah, you crazy? I mean, I love a beer, but like, I'm whatever, right? But definitely not, I'm not tempted at that time. And I was like, okay, let me like, I will only have half. So I had the half. And the experience of self-sabotage of that is, there was about to break through something in my relationship with her, like cause a new dimension of, like, yeah, I've been judgmental. And she doesn't want to share with her older brother, who's never around, who's too busy, comes in, like occasionally just tries to fix her.
Yeah.
And I was just about to be honest. And then what do? We talked about, we had beer, and we did our usual beer round, like whatever that world is. We talked about everything else other than us. So what's left? I'm left with is that conversation, or that desire to connect and like do what I wanted to really authentically do with her, which is really vulnerably heart-based connection. That didn't happen. So I'm just left inside my head. Oh well. next time. And the next time hasn't happened. It's been another 6, 7 days, and I'm about to go back to Scotland.
That is thank you. That is such an honest share, Moshka. I really love that. And I really love that you shared like how, because it was your sister, you went and had that half drink because, yeah, that's a really beautiful share. Thank you
Yes,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah. And I could have said no, but it's just like just to fit into
Yeah,
like her world.
yeah,
And actually that stopped me from sharing about FitBanker too. Or at some point I want
yeah,
to take a real stand because um and it just didn't happen. So it's just like, okay, like in my head, but it's back to the same strategy of another time. And
yeah.
obviously another time never comes, as we all know.
I reckon you can create it. I reckon you
Yeah,
can
sure. Yeah,
create
yeah,
it.
and 100%. Oh, 100%. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you. Thank you so much, Moshka. That's a really, really great reflection of how you tried to fit in and the self-sabotage you experienced as a result. Thank you. I have time for just one more. Is there anyone who wants to just share a little bit of 2, 3, and 4? I would love for one more share since we lost Dr. Mandeep halfway through as well. Kalpana, go
Hi
ahead.
everyone. So yeah, I do show up differently with all of the different people in my life because what I tend to do is I look at their personality first, and based on their personality is how I will respond. So my children, I show up differently versus my husband, I show up differently. Colleagues, I show up differently, there's just one colleague I have that I can, but the only one I can completely open up to, like completely, if I, have be who I am, 100%. But even that last, I think Puja on our coach call when I said I had a rough week, that
Yeah,
was one of the reasons because he gave me the cold shoulder and I knew it was something I'd done and I kept reaching out to her and she wouldn't tell me for about a whole week. So I withdraw. So what do? I withdraw. I withdraw from coldness. I withdraw from people that don't include me, or if I feel isolated, if I feel lonely, if I feel that that person's toxic around me, I completely withdraw and isolate, which is for an extrovert one of the loneliest things to do.
yeah,
So then I will sit in this office and feel sorry for myself, and feel very lonely. And why is this happening? So that's the sabotage. I start, going around my head. What have I done? What have I doing? Why, etc., etc. So I tend to look in the mirror a lot, and I do a lot of self-reflection. And then at my age, which I'm not going to give away, but some of you know, I've gone past that point where I feel like I have to make an effort now. I'm like, if it's not easy anymore, I I don't give myself. But where people do recognize me for who I am, I
yeah,
do give a lot,
yeah.
but it's becoming more rare.
And you know what, Kalpana, thank you so much for sharing that. And that is such a beautiful observation again about, and it's kind of the opposite. You're trying so hard to belong that actually your self-sabotage is the opposite, that you actually isolate yourself. And then what we're talking about is where we're thriving in this community is kind of not happening, right? So thank you so much for sharing. So if we return to seeing when we're trying to fit in,
Sorry. Can I just finish? Can we just do the little bit of coaching on the? Did you hear my share? It was interrupted by the tube.
oh, hi, Matty. You're back. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Yes, I'm just conscious of time because what I did was I took an extra share from someone because I
Uh-huh.
thought we'd lost you.
Oh,
So
no, I was there the whole
go ahead.
time, but I could tell that you thought you had lost me.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, I mean, did you hear the end or not really?
Not really. I heard that you felt that you tried the place that you cared most about fitting in was your cousins.
Yeah.
And so so what I would love to know is how you show up differently in front of your cousin. So that's where you're trying to belong. And what is the self-sabotage as a result?
Yeah, so I find that I'm fine in any circle, in every circle, because I
Yeah.
don't really, I don't try and belong. I just am who I am. And there I actually care. And so I show up as much more like needy. And as a result, not as a result, but perhaps I can't, it's a very hard, it's a very tough nut to crack because I do care. I really care about family. I know you thank you. So sorry, I really care about family, and I really want to like, you know, just to the point of the previous speaker. You want to belong. I want to
Yeah.
belong in family. That's the one place I think you want to belong. But I guess that's my Achilles heel, or that's where I'm self-sabotaging. Because if it matters too much to you, then they know how to stab. And that's where they stab, I think. That's the kind of conclusion I've come to, but I could be wrong.
So
Or unless you've got a different analysis.
I have got a slightly different analysis.
Okay.
But in the interest of time, I'm wondering if we should have a separate conversation or have one.
All right.
single
All
time.
right, fine.
But what
Fine.
I'll
Just
try
message
and give
afterwards.
a very short, I'd love to just say something very quickly here. It's very interesting because, so first of all, thank you for sharing that. And what's very interesting is when you're trying so hard to belong, and it's because you possibly have a belief about yourself in that environment. And so then the way that you will be behaving is a way to compensate for the fact that you feel that you're not belonging, right? And that's kind of then the energy that could even be giving off because because you're so desperate to belong, as you say, actually what happens, and have you done healthy relationships?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then some of this might sound familiar, like where you're so desperate to belong and it makes you feel a certain way where when you're not feeling like you're belonging, you might be feeling not loved, not enough, not enough. So then your ego then will compensate and you'll behave in a slightly different way, or your language will be, and it will be very subtle and you don't know. So there will be an energy shift for sure. So I don't think it's necessarily that they know how to stab. As you know, if you've done healthy relationship, I can say that to you. It's something about how you're feeling in that space and you're trying to belong, and therefore that's the self-sabotage. I'm so sorry. I don't
And then the
want to
answer
go off,
is
but
don't try and belong.
I'm
Just be who you are.
I would say it's slightly longer than that. And what I would
Okay.
love to do is put
Just
some,
message me after and we can,
yeah,
totally
or we can do
do
it on the
that.
group, because I'm just conscious of time.
Fine.
I'm really mindful of time right now, and I got a few more slides to get through. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, so if we are looking back at this, and actually, you just said, and what's the answer to that? Be yourself. So actually, the answer to that on this case, in yours, there might be a little bit more to dig as well. But if we talk in general terms, the answer to trying to fit in and what happens is we are not at our optimal self, and it's actually about returning to our optimal self. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like restoring integrity in each of these areas, right? That's what it looks like. And it's so interesting because even having done self-development, I mean, there is a constant evolution in all of these things. Social circumstances change, culture changes, family dynamics change. Mandeep, you just talked about like your family dynamic changing. You were with them, and then they said, "Oh no, we don't want to talk to you." And all the shifts that are going on, whether it's travel or global climate, whatever's happening, it's about trying to get to having integrity in these areas. And because the more you start practicing this, the more the universe will start morphing to help you. You know, I don't know if it's ever happened to someone where they have a thought that I want to do this. It happened to me. That's how I came across FitBanker. I had a thought that I wanted to be healthy and I had no idea how. And I put it out into the universe and I started seeing all these things about FitBanker. And 3 people told me about FitBanker all at the same time, right? I don't know if you've ever experienced that. And you have a thought that you want to do something, and suddenly somebody calls you about it. And actually, the more we do this, the more we return to our optimal self, and the more we build our brand, we can restore integrity, and then things start to change around us too. You know, for example, there are social networks where all people do is gossip, or all people do is complain. And that can be quite a drain on energy, or they moan. But when you don't entertain it, people won't have those conversations with you. Your brand changes. What a beautiful goal to have, that when you don't entertain that, and I have experienced that. And mine is, one easy example is a mum network at my daughter's school, where a couple of mums tried to talk to me about other people. And instead of indulging in that, I kind of went, you know what, maybe they're going through a hard time. Maybe there's a reason. And I didn't talk about it anymore. And what's really interesting is those mums don't now gossip with me anymore. Whenever I see those mums, they don't talk about anybody else. It just does not come up because they know that's not what I will do. So it's very interesting when you build your brand. Just this weekend, I was away with my cousins and they knew I'm doing the 90-day challenge. And they were sorting out the food and they were like, oh, Puja, we know, don't worry, it's going to all be really healthy for you, right? And it's going to be, we're having pancakes, but they're made out of this flour, which you can eat. And so they just knew that. And so it's about building the brand. I guess it can be difficult when you're trying to build that brand into your daily life too. It can be easier sometimes in a certain setting. So again, thinking about how are you going to do that after FitBanker? I know I went to a spiritual camp with my daughter. Every morning we started with meditation and chanting, and we were away. It was easy, but coming back into my day-to-day life, how do I practice it then? And I certainly know I've done the 90-day challenge before. I've done healthy relationships. Some of you may know my story of how even by working on all of that mind-body connection, I got pregnant after years and years of not being able to. And my IVF worked after multiple rounds. Being in, if you think about this FitBanker lifestyle and all the people you come across, having done all of this myself, I've connected with my purpose and authentic nature, and I'm going to be launching a course for teenagers on self-development. So all of these aspects, being surrounded by community and people that really want for you to be at your optimal too. So again and again, Mandeep and Kalpana and those of you that have shared about, returning to self, and there's some work to do, but how do you get back to that self, right? And a big part of it is your environment, community, and habits, your ECH. This is why we have group coaching and not one-to-one coaching, because the effectiveness of group coaching and having a community is so, so extraordinary. You get to have relatedness, you get to have support, motivation. I know I certainly, when I first did all this, I was like, oh, I'm not alone. Somebody else is going through what I'm going through. And you know what? This challenge is coming to an end. And the greatest asset I can tell you you can walk away with is community. People who've come together in this community in FitBanker they've not just done a program and left. There are so many people who have gone on holidays together, built lifelong friendships. There are collaborations and business partnerships starting. I think Moshka's an example of one, his love movement with somebody else. I know, I'm trying to see who's on here. There's other people that have started things, the treks that people do. They're having these partnerships because people are having shared values. When you're in the right environment, taking on the right habits, your interactions with a community is 100% focused on, they want you to be the best version of yourself. Those social networks will boost your immune system because you won't have those horrible feelings anymore. They create a surge of healthy, happy hormones. It helps shift from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous system we talked about in webinar 5 in the mind-body connection. It contributes towards longevity. I know when I started in FitBanker, right, and it was I was a participant on a group, and I remember thinking, oh, I want to say this to this person, and I've got an idea, and I thought, oh, am I treading on people's toes? And I said it, and somebody said, look at you stepping into your leadership. And in no other group or community had I experienced that people didn't feel that I was stepping on their toes. People encouraged you to grow. And I found that such a unique environment. I'm conscious that we're 7:30, so I just need a few more minutes of your time, please, if you can. So the more you keep yourself immersed in networks, the more people are rooting for you. There's an example of where in Japan there are these cab drivers where the average age is 90 years old. The youngest is like 70 years old, and every day they get together and they talk in this community where they walk past each other and greet each other, and people say hello. You feel different. I know I certainly experienced that in COVID. I don't know if anyone else did. There was a sense of community because we were all together fighting this COVID, and I don't know if anyone else experienced it. Everybody experienced, I certainly did experience people saying hello in the streets, people coming out, people doing things on their outside on the street. It was beautiful. So collective assembly with a shared purpose, a vision, a shared cause much bigger than oneself creates joy, social connection, meaning, and peace. Human beings seek more meaning and connection in their lives. Human interactions, especially in person, bolster your immune system, positive hormones surging through the bloodstream and brain. With the longevity. So, what opportunities do you have after this program ends? Day 90 isn't the end, it's just the beginning. And if for any of you feel like, okay, it's the end of FitBanker, I really encourage you that you're going to continue your growth and look at your environment, community habits, whatever form that takes for you to still optimize these 6 pillars. But here are some of the pillars that we offer you in FitBanker to support that growth, to commit to being a better you beyond day 90. So if you want to take on leadership, entrepreneurship, start a business, scale up a business, go up the corporate ladder, be a more effective communicator, be a parent, better parent, society, get on the coaching body. I mean, coaching as an industry is exploding, right? But what's unique about the coaching body is it's not just performance coaching, it's also entrepreneurship. The idea is that everyone grows with their personal brand, and so many people have gone through the coaching body and launched their own personal things too. So it's about discovering your true nature. If you want to work on emotional reprogramming and have recurring triggers or emotional upsets, I know a few of you were on the Masterclass for Healthy Relationships program yesterday. There's a program starting on September 4th. You get to transform the past. If you want to, if trekking, mountain climbing is your thing, but in a group environment where you are supported, Ronnie will be taking another group next year. They just got back. Some of you might have seen those posts about them climbing Kilimanjaro. They've just finished that. If you want to look at optimal body composition or just want to continue this journey, there is Thriving 5 with Dipali, and we've got head coach Dipali here, and she's going to give you 2 minutes at the end of this just to let you know what that's about. So I just want to share this quote with you. When you want something, the whole universe conspires to make it happen. So I invite you to think about, what is it that you want? What is it that you want for your 6 pillars? What is it that you want for your life? So Dipali will talk about this at the end, calling out to all of you who will after day 90 be past challenges. And she's all on chorus, so she will speak to you about that shortly. Okay, you can't pour from an empty cup. Learn how to heal, nurture, and reconnect with yourself. Here is a little testimonial here from Kim Johnson, who had seen multiple therapists. And she's talking about the Healthy Relationships program, saying how unbelievably natural the process is, but actually how different to most coaching programs and therapy. You don't get to be a victim. You face your trauma, then you get to hook it all out and move on. It's incredible, really. The accountability is insane. You can't get away with your normal excuses of missing a session or not doing the weekly task. I loved this. And so if you're interested in that, there is a masterclass on Monday, the 14th of July, ahead of September. And after this, Head Coach Gira will put all these dates and links in the WhatsApp for you, so you've got really easy access to those. Looking at the coaching body, a little quick example from Dr. Sarika Shah. She had her own dental practice, and this is her experience. Being on the coaching course gave me the knowledge, confidence, and tools that I needed to elevate both my inner and outer leadership skills. Personally, the course allowed me to overcome my barriers and feel more empowered to find my purpose and be more connected to my authentic self. Professionally, it revolutionized how I communicated and led my team. And most of all, the course inspired me and gave me the confidence to launch a self-leadership course for women in dentistry, speak about the topic at public events, and write articles for various journals. This has now led to empowering more women in my profession to become strong self-leaders and pursue their goals, and in turn has fulfilled my greater why. I'm eternally grateful for the continued support from TCB and the entire FITBANKER team. It's like you can't, you just can't leave, all right? The coaching body, there is a masterclass on Thursday, July 10th. So again, Gira will share these details in the WhatsApp group. And now to come to your webinar 9 assignments. All right. We did this at the start of the webinar. We talked about what we were grateful for. At the end of each day, we'd love for you to list 5 things you're grateful for about the day, similar to assignments from webinar 5. Because it really shifts from your chronic state of stress. It's the simplest way to cause a shift. And I think I do it with my kids. If you've got kids, I invite you to do it with them. What you appreciate appreciates. You must have heard that saying. And please do share these on the big group WhatsApp. Let's end this program on a high. All right. My favorite one of these is my favorite one, listing 5 people who've made a profound difference in your life. Contact them and let them know how grateful you are to have them in your life and why. And you don't have to say, I'm doing an assignment. You could just say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking about you and I just want to say how grateful I am. It is one of my favorite things to do because those people get so much joy and you get to let them know, you know, you got here. So many people have contributed to you getting to this place, and it's just a great way for healing to get activated. It could just be the thing that one person was here. When I last did this, I sent this message to a friend, and she just sent me some emojis back, crying, 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 crying. And she then called me the next day, and she said, "You will not believe. I was about to divorce my husband because I felt that he didn't make me feel loved. And your message made me realize that I had everything in me to feel whole and healed and loved. I had it in me. He didn't need to." And she said, "We're actually pausing the divorce." I'm not saying that's going to necessarily happen, but it was actually the impact of it was I had no idea that would happen. And that was the timing of it. Another one is a random act of kindness towards another daily till the next webinar, not pre-planned. Like it can't be that I know there is a homeless person that sits outside Tesco. Tomorrow I am going to go and give them food. That is, of course, an act of kindness. It's beautiful. But the point of it being random is that you are so present to what you are doing in your day-to-day life that the idea occurs to you as it's happening. All right. And then finally, declaring your health continuity plan beyond day 90 in your team this week. How are you keeping ECH an empowering state? Share with your team and take action. Whatever that may look like for you, we're going to support you however you choose to do that. So thank you so much. That is the webinar closed, but I really invite you, if you can stay for 2 more minutes, I'm going to hand over to the wonderful head coach, Dipali, who is going to share a little bit about Thrive in 5, all right, which is beginning on the 21st of July. Dipali, over to you.
Thank you, Head Coach Puja, Coach Puja, and thank you, Head Coach Gira, for allowing me to give 2 minutes of this webinar. So I'm Head Coach Dipali, and I'm inviting you to experience the transformation like never before. Thrive in 5, a dynamic 5-week program designed to take you from surviving to truly thriving. And so here's my story from frustration to freedom. Before FitBanker, I spent years cycling out, working out, yo-yo dieting, constantly, chasing results, but never getting to my optimal body composition. So I didn't understand the science behind nutrition, exercise, mind-body connection, and the long-term health benefits it had. And that totally changed in September 22 when I joined my first FitBanker challenge. I thought I was going to sign up for a weight loss program, but I quickly discovered it was much more than that. FitBanker was a holistic lifestyle transformation program focused on nutrition, exercise, sleep, mindset, community, and purpose, like we all covered today. And since the first challenge, I lost 19 kilos. So head coach Puja, if you can go back to the previous slides. Yes, sorry. I came off my blood pressure medication just after first 90 days, climbed mountains in UK, summited Mount Kilimanjaro. So if you can do the next slide, please. I also did London to Brighton and London to Paris bike ride. I completed Tough Mudder. I am now signed up to climb Machu Picchu in September 25. But most importantly, I found myself stronger, fitter, more confident, and unstoppable. I have coached on several 90-day programs. I've also head coached on a 90-day program. I'm a certified performance coach and a track leader, helping others to unlock the same power within. So what's Thrive in 5? Coach Puja, if you can share the next slide, please. Yes, yeah, that's it.
This one?
Yes, yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Thrive and Thrive is a powerful 5-week program that helps you break out of just autopilot and step into a higher version of yourself. And so what's included? 5 mastermind webinars with Ronnie. There's a new transformational content, completely different to what we've covered in a 90-day challenge. 5 empowerment calls with incredible FitBanker coaches that will guide you and challenge you, and an uplifting community that you will hold yourself accountable to and will keep you inspired and empowered. Also a proven structure to develop sustainable habits for life. And so this is just not about fitness, it's about building a thriving lifestyle. One where you are aligned, empowered, and ready to take on anything. So there's a special promo for April and Encorers. It's just for now, it's £199, and this is an exclusive offer. You can use code when you sign up FBX199. Or DM me or any of the coaches to get more information or to reserve your spot. Spaces are limited and do not wait. This is your time, your health, your mindset, your next breakthrough, and it all starts with Thrive in 5. Starting on 21st of July. And I'm looking forward to seeing as many of you as possible in Thrive in 5. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Head Coach Dipali, for that really powerful share. That was really great. I think I want to join now. I don't want to leave.
Thank you. Yeah, come on, join.
All right.
I know you joined me on 90 days.
I did.
HR. So
I did.
yeah, I'm really hoping that many of you are going to join me on Thrive in 5 as well. And the power of community. I am a true testament, from just losing weight to climbing mountains to becoming a track leader to bike ride. Anything is possible as long as you, surround yourself to the ECH, environment, community, and habits.
I know. I agree. And it's so funny, right? Like before the 90-day challenge, I was like, where do I want to be in 90 days? Do I want to be exactly here where I was, or do I want to be somewhere different? And it's kind of the same thing with this. Where do you want to be in 5 weeks? I am acknowledging we are 16 minutes over. Thank you so much for your patience, everyone. And Head Coach Gira, I know you'll share everything, the assignments and everything else on the main chat, right?
Yes, thank you so
Amazing.
much. Thank you, Puja.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.